Welcome, friends, to the Here I Go Again podcast, where we discuss life, faith, politics, and a whole lot more. I'm your host, Rob Standridge, and I'm glad you're joining us today. So with that, here we go. Welcome to our Here I Go Again podcast. This is our episode number 19. You're going to make me feel wimpy here in a minute when we talk about how many you've done, Cody. But my guest is Cody Elliott from the Frontier Mindset podcast, a recent candidate for State House in Oklahoma, and just all around great guy. And Cody, thank you so much for coming and being on with me. Give us a little update. How's life and how's the podcast?
You bet. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, podcast is doing great. I live down in Marlow, and I've got an equipment business. That's my full-time gig.
And that's Frontier as well, right?
Frontier Equipment Sales, yep. So that's kind of the
thing.
Sorry,
that logo did not come out very well. Sorry, that's on me. But I have another picture of your
No worries.
Website.
Yeah, so we've got Frontier Equipment Sales, Frontier Storage,
I'm not familiar
Frontier
with that
Mindset podcast. So that's kind of where the Frontier comes from, of course, being Oklahoma.
And in Marlow, because that's the Frontier.
Sure, that was the Frontier. And that was kind of the whole idea and when I started the podcast. That frontier mindset of people taking risk and, going out where they're not comfortable. So whether that's business or politics, public service, marriage.
Yeah.
That's kind of the whole point. And that was the idea behind the podcast. I had listened to a bunch of podcasts, and been a fan of Rogan, and there's one called The Wealthy Cowboy, and several like that. Just leadership, entrepreneurship, talking a little faith, just men's health a little bit, kind of those. So small business owners were kind of my first few guests, and then got into some elected officials, and then of course through that process,
some has-been previous elected officials,
but kind of both entrepreneurs and business owners, and then of course my campaign, kind of got in the way a little bit of the podcast and what direction I wanted to go, and then that kind of led me to interviewing candidates, elected officials, and then all the serious candidates for governor, I should say, and then including the Democrat.
Well, we want to make, so one thing about podcasts that everybody knows is they don't go away. I mean, so we're going to talk about the different ones you've done because people can go out now, and I would encourage them, watch them all. There's one with the standards guy that they want to watch first, but anyway. So Frontier, before I forget, so you have Frontier Equipment, is it OK.com or something like that?
Yes, Frontier Equipment, OK.com.
And that's like, I noticed that it's like attachments for tractors and I assume skid steers and all that, trailers, all that kind of stuff. Pretty large inventory from the website, it looks like.
A little bit of livestock equipment, we do cattle chutes, feeders, feed trailers, things like that. Used to do a lot of used construction equipment, scissor lifts, light towers, trenchers, kind of getting away from that and doing more of the new equipment. But just a small little dealership down in Marlow.
And when did you start that?
2012.
Business? Really? Okay, so 15 or let's see, 13, 14 years you've had that. Okay.
And it's just growing a little bit from a little lot in town. And now I had land next to the house right on Highway 81. So we built a shop next to the house. And so I've got my retail facilities there right on Highway 81, south of Marlow. South of Marlow.
And so I've been through Marlow quite a few times over the last year.
Yeah.
Not politics. Not podcast. Guess. I bet you can't guess why.
What, Giuseppe's or something? Going to eat Giuseppe's or what?
No, not eating. Although at our destination, which is as a hint, is Duncan.
Okay.
Right. But it's not Paul Scott.
My
buddy. Sorry, Paul. Sorry, I have to pop in and say hi to you. That's not Paul. Senator Scott, I should say. No, my son is all into golf. I mean, he's
play the territory or
he's an amazing golfer, and they have several tournaments down in that direction, and tennis too. My daughter's a big tennis player. My middle daughter, not Holly, who's here with me as typical helping out. Anyway, sorry to get off into my world, but Marlow, but you have a really nice golf course as I drive by, but we haven't played it yet. My son keeps saying,
you need to
stop
come
and
down
play
there.
Yeah.
Generations golf course.
Yeah, Generations. That's right. It's very nice. You can see it from the highway, right?
Yes, sir.
So is your business, is it north or south of that?
About a mile south.
About a mile south. Okay, so after we pass the golf course, it's about a mile. Okay.
Yep, right there.
And so so that's your equipment. Any particular tractor brand, or is it it'll fit pretty much all tractors?
Pretty much skid steer. Universal skid steer, which most tractors nowadays, your Kubotas, your Yanmars, Mahindras, Branson, their front attachments are now universal skid steer. So They're pretty universal now, and I sell a little bit of John Deere attachment. Some of the brands have their own style of attachment, but pretty much it's universal.
Wow.
So, and it's mostly my target audience, in my area, because it's mostly rural, is your farmers, weekend warriors, people that have little land. They just need a grapple bucket to clean up trees or brush hogs, something like that. Then, of course, small contractors, concrete guys, plumbers, electricians. I sell a lot of those trenchers and type small equipment, pallet forks.
I tell you, skid steers. I have a track loader, which is skid steer essentially with tracks. But those things are invaluable. I was just using it yesterday out here to pull some trees out. But do you sell tree pullers, by the way?
Yep. Tree pullers, tree shears, tree saws, log splitters. That's a Swiss Army knife. The skid steer is a Swiss Army knife.
That's what I'm saying. Listen, if you have land out there and you've worked hard enough, you got a little money for another toy guys out there, make it a skid steer. Those things are awesome. Right. And you can do so much stuff and save so much time. But one thing I'd say about the tree puller is it doesn't really pull trees.
It depends on how big they are.
Well, my skid steer is pretty large. It's not the biggest. I think it's like 70-some horsepower, but it works the tree out of the ground.
Right. Yeah.
Don't think you're going to, unless you want to tip your skid steer upside down, you may not. You may eventually pull the skid steer off the ground, but anyway,
it's not bulletproof. Not everything's bulletproof. They're designed perfect.
That's correct. So but realize
there's limitations to all equipment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's not a bulldozer. Yeah. But okay, so sorry. So the Frontier. So you have that. Now you have a mini storage. Is that
got a little storage unit
right there by it, or
it's in town.
Oh, in town.
Got a little mini storage place and.
Like 8x10 or 10x10s, or what sizes do you
Mine are actually drive-through units, and I've even got an office in one of them.
Okay.
So it's kind of a little bit different.
Okay.
Yeah, diversified, I guess you'd say. Or
like enclosed or
they're
just
enclosed
covered?
and drive-through. It's actually an old car wash that was enclosed.
Oh, sweet.
So they're drive-through bays.
Oh, wow.
And then there was an office there with a two-car garage, and so basically they're enclosed car wash.
And you just rent those out per bay. Okay, awesome. Did you do this, or did somebody else do it before?
I bought it from someone that already built it.
That retrofitted it to that. Oh.
So our plan there, we have a bigger lot behind it.
Okay.
And so I'm looking to expand that eventually.
Okay.
And then we bought 3 acres down in Duncan, down by the industrial park in Duncan, the South Industrial Park. We're going to hopefully build some more storage units there, maybe even RV storage.
Okay.
That plan kind of went on hold with the campaign.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of getting back to that. But that was a long-term plan. That was, instead of rent houses, storage was kind of my goal.
We have a storage facility, and I bought it what year did you buy yours? Just
about 3 years ago. Yeah, pretty recent.
Yeah, I bought mine about 3 or 4, probably 4 years ago now. And I wondered why the gentleman wanted to sell, because when I bought it, I thought, this thing, I'm studying the numbers, it's cash flowing good and everything. And it was a guy it was a absentee owner, like they didn't live anywhere close. So can you guess, now that you have mini storage for a little while, why he would want to get out from under that?
Maybe some headaches of the renters and collections and.
I don't think people care that much about collections, honestly, because this is mini storage.
Yep.
So, if somebody gets 6 months in arrears, it's not like a house. It's like $200 or $300. But the first guess is right. He had some problem children out there that, as an absentee, unless he were to hire a full-time manager, he couldn't get rid of them, and they didn't know who was coming.
Yeah.
So trust me, I got rid of them.
You gotta stay on them.
It is tough because they, we had kids. I say kids, I think they were adults. They would climb in one rental unit and somehow shimmy their way into another one. I don't see anybody. It's got a space like that much.
Right.
I'm exaggerating, but and they do it in summer. It's like 150 degrees in one of those units. I'm like, how bad do you want somebody's old, shirt button collection or vacuum cleaner that stopped working 3 years ago? I don't understand why that would be somebody's a thief's choice for robbery. Good luck. I don't know if you had to clean out very many, but
I've been real fortunate.
Okay.
And the mini storage.
I don't ever want to clean out. In fact, I say, just work with me, because I don't want your stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Take it. Yeah. Well, I've been pretty fortunate. Ours being drive-through units. Yeah. They've got power and light inside.
Okay.
So most of my renters are commercial customers.
Perfect.
I've got a painter in there. I've got a guy that wraps cars.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I got a couple of them.
So these guys doing business there.
That's the good thing. Yeah, they're using it as storage for their business. At one time, I had an oil field warehouse. He used it as a small warehouse. And he had him a little desk in his little unit, and he put his own Starlink there. So I've tried to be very particular about who I let in there, and mine are higher priced. So it keeps, being double units, they've got 2 doors they can drive through.
So people might not pay that much just to store stuff.
They're not going to, just store household junk. So that's the expansion plan. I always thought I would either do bigger units like that or even RV storage. And so we get a little different class. I've done a little bit
of RV, but mine's always been like open.
Yeah.
So I would like to do some enclosed or even the covered. Might
just
sell
open air covered parking. We've thought about that too.
So that sounds a good marriage between those two type of businesses. So what else have you dabbled in other business interests in your entrepreneurial life? Or is that
those two were it?
Okay.
Yeah, started selling. What's funny is when I first started business, I was still working full time in the equipment rental industry.
Right.
So I had a non-compete.
Okay, so you were working for one of these United or one of these equipment rental companies.
And so I had to kind of be careful about where I started. So we actually started out with used autos and new and used trailers. Oh, so I was selling some cars and trucks.
Autos.
Didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
And then so we stuck to some trailers, and then once started just doing some things on the side that didn't compete with my full-time job. And then I was already in the equipment business, already had contacts, and it just took off. And when it became my side job became busier than my full-time job.
So do you work a regular job now, or is this your regular job?
Yeah, I've been out, 10 years, yeah.
So you're open every day of the except for Sundays?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you rent stuff? You rent stuff or just
not
sell
anymore?
Stuff? Okay.
Used to rent some scissor lifts, light towers, a trailer here and there. Kind of got away from that, and of course the campaign,
right?
Was limiting factor too. But just liability and being able to service it, keeping qualified mechanics that are on hand. When somebody's renting something, they expect immediate service.
Correct. Yeah.
If it's a scissor lift,
so you can get underwater really quick if you're having to pay people to help.
And the liability, it's if somebody turns it over and you're in a lawsuit.
Yeah.
So just to simplify the business,
just sell it.
Just sells right now.
And the equipment, selling the equipment like machines, like you said you did, I assume that is a similar headache, and that you sell it thinking it works good, but then it breaks.
Yeah, especially when you're in a small town. Yeah. When you sell a piece of used equipment, people think it has a lifetime warranty.
Yeah.
And so any issues you have, you got to help out your customer and try to take care of them. So, and again, going back to the campaign over the last year, simplifying my business.
Yeah, selling new grapples, because then you can say this is a lot of moving ABC parts. Company standing behind that. Call them because they'll give you a
little
new
simpler.
One. Yeah,
staying away from engine-driven things.
Yeah,
was simplifying the business. But
there's entire websites devoted just to skid steer attachments.
Oh, sure.
Well, there's one called skid steer attachments. So, can people order your stuff on your website?
Yep. I can sell it, ship it direct, ship it from my facility. I've got 3 or 4 different manufacturers that I represent. And so, yeah.
So I don't know if you remember, but I called you or texted you one because I needed an auger. Remember? I don't know if you remember. And you didn't have those. Yeah, I ended up buying a Digga brand.
That's right.
Yeah, and which has a built-in leveling, which is what I needed. So you had to really be a Digga reseller.
Right.
I forget what the thing is called, but it's not only an auger, but on top of the auger is this essentially like a laser level.
Right.
That makes sure it's level. So it's a one person. I can get out there and not have to wait for somebody to come help me. I could just start digging straight holes. So
we've tried to, I've tried to get several manufacturers so that I can offer different options.
Yeah.
Some things are patented, some designs are patented, and so you can't get it from this manufacturer. And then, if one doesn't have it or you like the quality of another one, then I try to sell only American made.
Yeah.
Of course, it's very competitive with imported, anything imported now, trailers and attachments, anything like that, tires. But try to sell. I've got 4 manufacturers in the USA, and of course, me being a small business, those small manufacturers would rather work with small independent businesses.
Oh yeah,
the huge name brands, where even in trailers and things, those huge name brands, they want large dealer networks,
and they want you to commit probably to a certain
$1 million a year or whatever it is, multiple locations. So those are tough. But the independent manufacturers love the small independent dealers like myself.
Well, there's probably somebody that makes trailers in your not too distant area, I would think. That's a pretty popular welder type.
Oklahoma still has a lot of trailer manufacturers. Not as many as we used to.
Really? Okay.
That was kind of one of my points for running for office too. Duncan and Chickasha used to be the horse trailer capital of the world. especially aluminum horse trailers. Yeah. And we can talk about aluminum later if you want, the smelter deal. But yeah, there's still a lot of local manufacturing. Northeast Texas, Paris, Bonham, Mount Pleasant, a lot of trailer and truck beds manufactured in that area. So that's a lot of my equipment comes from.
So Texas sucks except for trailers.
Right, yeah.
Right, okay, good.
Yeah. But again, some of it goes back to labor issues and qualified labor issues, cheap labor, some of the...
Yeah, it's the problem everywhere. And again, the trailer makers have to get into volume eventually, probably to compete.
Yeah, the trailers have done that. They've that corporate conglomeration, I guess you'd say. They bought up the big brands, the big techs, the PJs, Delcos. A lot of those are kind of under one.
Oh, really?
One brand now.
Yeah, I forget. I've got a number of trailers, and I can't remember who makes them, but yeah, it's. I know my dump trailer, I think, is made in a Texas company.
Is it? Yeah.
So you got these businesses, you're cooking along. I mean, it sounds like you should be 50. You've done a lot in a short amount of time, Cody. Congratulations.
Yeah.
But so you got those businesses going. How did this podcast, where was that born out of?
Yeah, so same thing. So going back, again, being a small business owner, and then I'm chamber president there in Marlow. Very involved in local small business. What year would this
be when you became chamber president?
I've been on the board for 5 years now and chamber president. This is my second year as chamber president.
Okay.
And just always involved in small business. And again, listening to podcasts, I love the content, but most every, business podcast they're all far away. There wasn't anything kind of Oklahoma based into my local area. So it was like, well, I want to interview small business owners and kind of get their background story and balancing faith and family and business. And then when you try to run for elected office, that's just another thing that spreads you out. And what's that balance? So that's kind of the whole point.
So as chamber president, you're like, why are these people getting exposure? So you essentially started this project thinking I'm going to help grow business in Marlow or help my chamber members help their businesses. Is this kind of how that was born?
Yeah. Me I come from a family of, blue collar working class family, not a lot of entrepreneurs and successful business people in my family. So me starting a business, I remember how hard those days were, even though I went to college.
It's 2 jobs, at least 2.
I mean, you're learning it at the same time you're trying to operating it. And I went to college for business, but they don't teach you all the little things you need, all the management practices, the liabilities and the, just startup things. So I love to hear how people got started, whether they were in their back room, where the wife was helping, the kids were helping get this thing off the ground. Most small businesses are. And
you're working probably a full-time job as you're working a full-time job. So it's 9 to 5 plus 5:01 to 2 in the morning. So it's, I don't think a lot of people, mine was till 6 in the morning. But anyway, now I'm just kidding. But I mean, people don't realize, unless you're handed, and I don't fault somebody for being handed something, that's just life. But if you start from scratch, which it sounds like you did, people don't realize that people should admire that more, in my opinion. Because when you drive into a lot and it's a small business owner, most likely it wasn't handed to them. Most likely they worked at Walmart 40 hours a week, put all the savings they could so they could buy a little building, not knowing it's going to succeed or fail, and put their hearts and fortunes and everything into try to be successful. And it's worked for you, and hopefully it'll work much even bigger.
Hopefully we share stories, and hopefully people can learn from it. I get a lot of feedback, just people, and then there's now that people like you or people that I've had on that are very successful now, and people just see their house, their business, what they drive, and they think, gosh, it must be nice. Well, you didn't see those 80-hour weeks that he put in scratching.
Right.
They were eating bologna at the house so that the business could stay open.
But that's a part of human nature and capitalism. Right. So people trash capitalism because they think they look at the other guy, because the grass is always greener.
Sure.
Some of my people in my family are guilty of that a lot. And I always tell them, that grass is greener drives humans to be more successful.
Sure.
And capitalism is the mechanism to do that. So when you look at Elon Musk and you say, I wish I had what Elon has. Well, maybe you won't have that, but maybe that'll drive you to have something more than what you have. But if you're happy with what you have, that's America too.
Yeah. I'm sure you've heard me say this. I always talk about, and I read a lot of books, a lot of biographies and entrepreneur books, but Sam Walton, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos even, don't agree with his politics, but they started from nothing.
Usually they'll say garage.
Right, the garage. Sam Walton was a poor kid from Arkansas, and Elon Musk was a immigrant.
Yeah.
Came here with basically nothing.
And was so sure of his first success that he wouldn't even tell his wife about it. I don't know if you're familiar with that story, but it's in fact we just got back from Disney World, and I was in Florida, and so my kids and some an adopted kid kind of. Anyway, everybody's like, oh, let's go. So I said, fine, let's go to Disney World. But I say that to say the Epcot, the big ball.
Right.
So at the very top of that ball is, I think, the epitome of an entrepreneur. I mean, I don't know if it's Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, but it shows a guy, I think it's Steve Jobs, but he's in his garage, and it looks like a little Macintosh there. That's the last thing you see in that ride. And I think that's America in a nutshell. Just because he made billions doesn't mean that your hundreds of thousands or your tens of thousands or your millions isn't the same. It's the same. Right. You know, maybe instead of a Lamborghini, you're getting the best and greatest latest model of Subaru.
Yeah.
Not Cody, but some in Alaska want Subarus. But anyway, hey, before we go further, we're talking about college. My daughter helps me so much in this podcast. People don't even know. So I want to introduce her real quick again. And I think she might have a question for you. She was very anxious to meet you. So Holly, come over and say hi to Cody. And because I know you got to go here in a little while, but let's see. Why don't you pull that chair? We'll visit for just a minute. We can just share.
Let me scoot to the middle.
Yeah, I'll just let her. No, I'll just let her sit in the middle for a second, I guess.
Hanging over.
Yeah, I have another microphone, but just for a minute, we can just share a microphone. All right, everybody. This is my daughter Holly. You've met her before, but she is in college. We talked about college with Cody for a minute. Holly was very excited to meet Cody because I told her about how you kind of got me started in this. So anyway, Holly, say hi to Cody.
Hey, Holly.
It's really cool that you got my dad started with the podcast and everything. Kind of because I'm in college right now, so just kind of like after you graduated, I just kind of wanted to know what your plans is after
I graduated college.
How you started your own business.
Yes. My first job out of college was with a Caterpillar dealership, and I went around to every department they had and kind of learned every job. And then I just kind of did that my whole career. I would just learn from everyone I could, every department I could, the mechanics on the ground, the drivers, the people, the customers, and I just love to hear everyone's story. So that's always one of my greatest advice. Always listen to people, talk to them, ask them questions. Anywhere you go, learn their story, and you never know who you're going to meet.
Oh yeah.
That's always good advice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the business degree is great.
Yeah.
But young graduates probably ought to know that you can't just stop there. You've got to fight and continue to work to get where you're at. Yeah,
that's a good point. In business school, you only learn so much. So experience counts for just as much as education. And even if you're still in school or recently graduated, get an internship, work during school, and ask a lot of questions from business owners, and even see different things. If learn from different businesses. And that way you kind of know, I thought I liked that, but I don't. So I'm going to try something else. And then you can always change. You're not stuck to your degree or what you thought was going to be your career.
So did the degree, did that help you get the job at Caterpillar? Would you have been able to get it without the degree?
No, it was pretty much specific to a degree.
Okay.
They probably would have taken anyone with a 4-year degree just so they know you have commitment to doing something, accomplishment. But the business-based program that I went into was a leadership development program. Okay. But yeah, I actually heard about this job through one of my professors. So I was really close to one of my professors, and he knew that came from the equipment business. My dad and brother both were engine mechanics and stuff like that. He said, hey, Warren Caterpillar has a program that you might be interested in.
Okay.
So that's another good point. Stay in with your counselors and professors, and they might be able to direct you to something you like that you didn't know about.
Where did you go to college?
Texas Tech.
So Texas Tech.
Yeah.
So they kind of mentored you or kind of helped you not just get the degree, but also find maybe an area of interest that you could go in.
Yeah, my professor did for sure.
Okay.
They were very tied in with a lot of local businesses, and
okay.
And I actually worked on campus too.
Okay.
So I was in tune with a lot of things in different departments outside of just agriculture and business. That helped me a lot too.
Is that in Lubbock?
Lubbock.
Oh, Lubbock.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I wanted Holly to meet you and be able to visit for a minute.
Glad you came on, Holly. It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
So yeah, talking about your podcast. Holly disappeared. Anyway, talking about your podcast. Holly and I were visiting, or she was mentioned a minute ago. Like just logistically, I mean, you're working with the chamber. I'm sure it's a highly paid job. Anyway, you're working with the chamber. You know, you obviously you network like that to help your own business. Of course, that's everybody does that, knows that's part of it. But clearly, you took that an extra step and say, I'm going to try to help folks. So logistically, equipment. I mean, how did this 2 years ago? When would this have started?
My first episode came out in January of 2025.
January 2020.
So the year leading up to that, when I knew this is something I wanted to do. And with social media kind of getting more and more present, and just watching reels and people's videos and how-tos and DIYs, I started to figure out I need to learn how. I don't have a journalism background, nothing like that, filmography or whatever you'd call it. So I actually, one of the podcasts I watch, The Wealthy Cowboy Show, Crockett started doing social media coaching. So I actually reached out to him. And we would do conference calls and then kind of homework. So he would teach some of this stuff, like all the different social media networks, how to post, how to film. He gave me all the ideas of studios to use, websites for editing, clipping, things like that. So I learned a lot up to putting out my first episode. And I started using it for my business too. I would do, the old Facebook Marketplace post. Promote my business. I'd take a picture.
Was that helpful?
Yeah. Okay. The coaching and stuff.
No, I mean, was his coaching and advice helpful on your business first?
Yeah. Okay. That's the first thing I used it for, was not only being behind the camera, taking videos of equipment and just posting them on my website or Facebook, but I would get in the camera, on this side of the camera. Okay. Doing videos of here's the equipment, here's how it works, just getting comfortable on video. And then again, I practiced. I probably put out or recorded 3 or 4 different podcasts before I ever put one out. Just kind of doing it solo. Practice talking, listening to myself. Okay. When I first started,
for me that's painful, but
right, it is. It's hard to listen
to myself, not you, but listen to myself.
It is,
because you do a great job. You have when I did my podcast with you, you have a way, Cody, that just gives comfort to your guests, which I really appreciate. I'm trying to do that. Yeah. And you just do a great job. I mean, your podcast, I mean, we'll promote it more as we talk here. But again, get out there and watch Frontier Mindset. So you're recording, you're practicing. Are you posting some of this as promos for your own equipment?
I never really put it out. Other than, my business pages that I would do, listing equipment, things like
stuff.
That. Yeah. This is for sale. This is what it does. That was getting me comfortable. And that's kind of what I started to use him for first. Okay. And then, he started just little things. What time to post? Right. What to tag? What is a hashtag matter anymore? Do you tag the equipment manufacturer? I was learning all this stuff from Crockett. And same thing with the studio, trying to figure out, am I going to buy all this equipment or am I going to use a studio? Just go there and record.
And you pay like $500 or whatever.
Very expensive individually. Yeah. But as you know, you don't have to worry about the mechanics behind the scenes. Where am I going to record? Do I have the right acoustics, the lighting, I didn't know any of this stuff. Yeah.
When I talked to you, you had learned a lot. You really helped me a lot. So, so what, did you ever do any where you used another studio or no?
No, never did. Okay. Always. Okay. So my first 17 podcasts were audio only. Okay. Then I got more comfortable to do them on video. And that's when I experimented with a couple different cameras.
So which audio, we talked about this off camera before, but which audio, if somebody's out there and they want to start a new podcast, which audio did you start with?
Yeah, and that's funny. It's not as expensive and as hard as people think. You can literally record a podcast on your phone.
Yeah.
There's audio apps.
You told me that, yeah.
And you can call people and do them if you want to do it. I bought the Zoom package. Just go on Amazon and look up Zoom podcast kit.
Like kit, okay.
I mean, $600-700, whatever it was back then, and literally comes with a couple mics and a recorder.
Right.
Stick your SD card in there and you hit record.
Which you get a better audio, but your phone these days is
just as good.
Yeah, my phone for some reason does horrible audio, but
if you're echoing, if you're sitting in the truck, there's a lot of things that.
But you see a lot of politicians use their phone a lot, and I think citizens really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, as it's gone on, you and I talked about it. I went from using, these mics to wireless. Yeah. So we can do. Sometimes we'll sit behind a table. Sometimes we're just out, in just 2 chairs. Okay. And I'll use my training too through my chamber. So being a chamber, I go out and do videos with our businesses. We do promo videos, so that's got me more comfortable. So I've got wireless mics.
Who does the filming and stuff for that?
I'll either take a partner or I'll just take my tripod and do it by myself.
Really? Okay.
And so that's another goal with my podcast.
So
is doing more
when you
short
leave the
films.
chamber, they're going to be.
They got to find somebody to fill my spot.
That's going to be tough. I think maybe they'll increase you from $0 to $1.
Yeah.
So something to keep you.
For sure. But that's another training ground, in community service. I've always been on boards and stuff, just getting more comfortable in front of the camera was always my goal. And then, of course, hearing the stories. And, through the refinement process, you and I talked about this. I've got a guy that does my audio and video.
Yeah, great guy, Drew.
Send it to
him,
great guy, because I'm not tech savvy. Now, you are. You had software experience and stuff. You can learn. There's several apps out there, the Riversides, the Adobes. There's several of them out there. So if people are hands-on, they can do a lot of this themselves.
I would say that for the overwhelming majority of people out there, find you a Drew. I mean, because the softwares, if you're very software savvy, you can do it. But you probably need to be software savvy in the graphics video area. Some of them can. But then again, maybe you can handle it. Like you said, the apps are out there, Riverside, Adobe.
Yeah.
There's a CapCut program. There's programs out there. But now once you get the finished product, there are a lot of tools that I think even a casual podcaster could probably use the post-production tools. The advertising and the AI and all the other stuff out there. Yeah,
a lot of apps that'll clip it out for you.
Right.
We use those for clips, and the AI will build your own clips. And then, of course, feeding you got to find a place to put your podcast.
That's right.
So there's all kinds of YouTubes and Rumbles and Spotifys.
From free to however much you want to spend, by the way.
So you can spread your audience out. As far as looking at analytics, your viewership, the more places you put it, the harder it is to find out where's the viewers coming from.
That is
how many
true.
do you have?
Yes.
It's hard to get your target audience down. But even Facebook and some of these you can break down where the views are coming from, the ages.
Yes.
And then I guess if you wanted to start selling advertisement, things like that, you could use those tools.
Facebook has some pretty powerful analytics in it for sure. I'll have to admit that up to this point in my podcast history, I distribute it everywhere, but I just don't have time to analyze all that yet. Hopefully I will. But Facebook is so easy to quickly look.
Everyone's got Facebook, regardless of age.
Right.
I mean, from high school to senior citizens, everyone's got Facebook. So
that's true.
The primary target, I think, is Facebook.
Until he starts charging. And
then
they all
that
leave.
may be.
But okay, so you got working with a chamber. You've learned a lot. What was the cowboy podcast you kind of started with?
Yeah, the Wealthy Cowboy.
The Wealthy Cowboy. Yeah. So then, I guess these first 17 episodes on audio, are they available on?
Yep.
I assume Spotify, but
all
on
of them
Facebook?
are available on Spotify.
Okay.
Which feeds to Amazon, Audible, those type. Some of mine are still on Apple Podcast.
Okay.
But I was having some technical issues with Apple Podcasts, so I stopped using them. So maybe 10 or 15 of them are on Apple.
Okay.
But yeah, YouTube and Spotify are the two primary places I send people.
Okay.
Of course, Amazon Music, Audible, whatever app you use.
And then you have links to those on Facebook typically,
yep.
right?
Got a Facebook page for the podcast, and then I post reels to the podcast page and my personal page.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to follow me on social media, you can see my reels. And those will always link back to the full podcast.
To the podcast. Okay, so Frontier Mindset Podcast. There's a website address too, right? That just kind of sends you to the.
Yep. And I don't do a great job keeping up my website, but
I mean it's
Frontier
there.
Mindset.
Yeah, Frontier Mindset. Okay, or something. I forget.
FrontierMindset.com.
Oh, just FrontierMindset.com. Okay, and then from there, you can just click though and
there's
get
links
to the Spotify or whatever. So those first 17, were those political oriented or business oriented?
A few.
Okay.
It was kind of mixed up. So yeah, I interviewed my sitting senator, my former senator, my DA, my state rep, my locals,
Okay.
Kendall Sacchieri, Brad Bowles, Jessica Garvin, Jason Hicks.
Okay.
And so there was a few of them in there. We still tried to keep the mayor of Duncan, Robert Armstrong, which is a business owner.
Okay.
Still tried to keep it business focused,
right,
that
right.
leadership, entrepreneurship, and family faith type
right.
stuff. And then, once the fall came around, we had more and more.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I think we did mine in December, was it?
Yeah, somewhere in the fall.
November, December
December area.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were like episode 22 or something. You were 2 or 3 that I just started using video.
Oh, okay.
So Jake Merrick was my first video.
Oh, was he? Okay.
And so, of course, he was already running for governor.
Okay.
And I knew Jake had experience on radio and TV.
Yes, yeah.
And Jake was great enough to agree. Yeah, I said, hey, will you be my guinea pig?
Yeah.
I need to put you on video. Can we practice with you? And yeah, I'll do it.
So what goes around comes around, because now, as I had Jake on the other day, and we announced on my podcast with him The Colony, which is one of the projects by a politician / business guy that I've been more excited about than I can remember in recent history. I mean, I think it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
As I said on the program, Trump huge.
Yeah.
And Cody Elliott with the Frontier Mindset podcast is going to be one of the contributors, and there's going to be a lot of those. So I don't want to get off of your To Colony, but I think it's pretty. You should be pretty feel good that Jake, you're one of the first people he mentioned to me that he wants to have you on. Maybe it's because he was your inaugural video.
Yeah. That goes back to networking, like we were talking with Holly. Just you never know who you're going to run across and meet, and where that relationship will go. And then you're on first name basis, and you're texting each other ideas. And even right after the primary, I text Jake, "Hey man, you need to get back in the media as soon as possible. You're great for that, and people need that voice still. That avenue for their conservative news." And he said, "Hey, I'm working on something big. I'll let you know."
It's real. I am really excited about it. In fact, I'm going to be meeting again with Jake here pretty soon about it. The Oklahoma. We have the Daily Wire, which I love. And whenever I get confused about what a woman is, I go back to there so that Matt Walsh can set me straight again. Yeah. But and I said this the other day to Jake. I think that the WNBA is. They're struggling here. Just bring in Matt Walsh.
He'll clean it up.
Yeah, I know you're confused.
Yeah.
Because it's a hard question what a woman is. It's a very Matt Walsh is clear in his. If you haven't watched it, by the way,
what is a woman?
I don't know who that was watching this hasn't seen that. I don't even care if you're liberal. I don't care what you are. Ideology. It's hilarious. You got to watch it.
What's funny is funny.
Yeah, and what's so ironic about the thing is how to define a woman. I don't see how the WNBA. It's actually in their charter.
Right.
That only women can participate, but yet they still can't define it. They've had several conclaves. I feel now that the Hurricanes left Hawaii, they're going to have a full 1 month retreat in Hawaii because there'll be a lot of bikinis and stuff. Maybe they'll start making they can clear that up. Maybe look at the beaches and say, I think that one is. Well, wait a minute, I don't know about that. They just need some more education, I guess.
Didn't we talk about this when you were on the podcast, especially being in Norman?
Yeah.
This woke mind virus that Elon Musk talks about, and it's a disease, but it's like that. He also uses the term suicidal empathy. we so much want to include everyone in there that now we're letting men in women's bathrooms and men in women's sports, and now we're endangering our own daughters. And
big time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I said this, but I think it all began with the Boy Scouts. You got Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
If you're not happy with that, you got to have your tomboy or whatever, or maybe not even a tomboy, a girl. Why?
Yeah.
Just have a Boy Scouts. And what's wrong with the fact that they're different?
Yeah.
God created men. God created women. He didn't create women. He created two, and they can be different. They can have a women's group and a men's group.
We could talk about this for hours.
Oh my gosh! Okay, so back to podcast. So your first 17 are audio, but then you went video, starting with Jake Merrick, and you got more political. It seems like your more recent ones are more political. Is that an intentional change, or you just see those guests as good ones to have on that can communicate well? Of course.
Of course, yeah. Of course, and then I entered that life. I've always been in politics, volunteering in my local county party as an officer and, just being involved. But that became my life last summer when I announced I was running for office.
Okay.
So then the topics of the day were political.
Because you're getting questioned about that from your voters, right?
And of course, growing the audience. And then, people in an election cycle, just that's people's focus is on, our politics. And politics relates so much back to business. And my wife's an educator, so obviously education in Oklahoma was a big deal.
She teaching Marlowe?
Yes, she's assistant principal now, but been an educator for 23 years. Yeah, so that became my life. So it was just like, well, let's get all these candidates for governor. Probably one of the most important positions in our lives is the governor.
So which gubernatorial candidates have you had on?
So we started with Merrick,
okay.
Then went with McCall,
okay.
Then Mazie,
okay.
And then had Chip Keating in the spring.
Okay.
So those first 3 were in the fall, and then Chip Keating came on, I think, February, March.
Okay.
And then after the primary, I couldn't get Munson and Drummond on before the primary.
Okay.
But in July, recently, I had Maisie, Drummond, and Munson, Cindy Munson on.
What?
It was interesting.
What are you doing, Cody? What
I
the
caught
heck?
a lot of pushback on that.
Did that end up in a fight? Did you brawl? What happened?
Took it easy on her. Yep. You know how this conversation on my podcast goes. I'm not an investigative journalist. Don't push a lot of buttons. Even if I disagree.
I'm trying to think. Did she came in before I termed out, I believe? Yeah. So I think she was in the House a term or two. I never got to know her real well, but yeah.
She was on the House side. You were on the Senate.
Correct.
I think she said she lost her first election in 15 or something, then won a special election in 16.
Yeah, because he passed away. So it was David Dank, who I served with, a great guy, Republican. But I think before him it might have been Democrat. I probably was. He passed away, I believe, and then she had lost to him, and then she won in the special. I think that's how it worked.
Yeah, so she served in the House, and I thought it would be an interesting conversation. We have a mutual friend, one of her, I guess, campaign organizers or group is from Marlow, so kind of had that tie. And I'd been trying to contact Cindy to get her on even early on, and I thought it was just a good idea to hear both sides. If I disagree with you, I still want to talk to you about
Why
it.
do Democrats in Oklahoma, why don't they have primaries anymore?
That's a good question.
Did you? I mean, that's not a gotcha question.
I don't know if they didn't. Yeah, that is a great question.
Even local races, they don't have primaries anymore.
We talked about this kind of behind the scenes about the Republican Party, and like a family, you fight behind the scenes.
Right.
You try not to in public. Well, parties are the same way.
Right.
And I asked her, what's the Democrat Party like in Oklahoma, and are there directives from the national level down to Oklahoma, or are the counties split? But yeah, I don't know if no one else ran, or if she was just such a good candidate no one wanted to run against her.
I don't understand. Well, that never happens in our
over the last 20 years, or how long has it been since we had a Democrat governor?
Well, Brad Henry.
Almost 20 years ago. Maybe they think.
But I mean, it's not just governor.
Run?
They don't, even seats that they win, they don't have primaries anymore. I mean, they just don't. Nobody challenges them once they get in office.
Could be handpicked.
I mean, I wonder if that's, again, the way the National Democrat Party is. I can't imagine. I don't know why one single Oklahoma, because that platform, with all due respect to Cindy Munson, that platform, nobody should agree with almost anything that's in the platform these days. I mean, you have some wacko things that's in their platform.
That's what very interesting talking to her.
But they can't separate themselves from it. They vote like that. Right. I serve with them. Great. I like some of them quite a bit, but they vote party line all the time.
Sure.
And you can see that in their primaries. You can tell by the primaries that there's not independent thinking anymore in the party, because they never challenge each other. If they're in office already, they never get a primary challenger. And even if it's an open seat, it's usually just one person. And I mean, it's the same here in Norman. I mean, the seats that have opened up, one Democrat files. And then they win sometimes here in Norman.
Right.
Only one files. And that, to me, that's like you've met together in an enclave and you said, who's going to, carry the marching orders?
Right.
I mean, I don't understand, or maybe it's not working that way, but that doesn't say it's independent thinking.
Look at the presidential election.
Yeah.
Did Kamala Harris have a
primary?
They
handed it to Biden first. They handed him. Well, he got it because he's president, and then they handed it off to her.
Everyone else just kind of dropped out.
So I think it hurts their party, to be honest with you, not to have. They should have several people vying for that. That way they can get their message out, and you can really see, whether you agree or disagree. When they only don't even run till November, I don't know as if they'll ever win a whole lot in Oklahoma.
Yeah, but, you just switch parties with the same ideology.
Yeah,
we talked about that, but she came across.
Yeah, they do switch party. Yeah, we have. That's our biggest problem in Oklahoma, and it's. I serve with some great people in the Senate. I like practically all of them on a personal level, and I'm not going to mention anybody. And even throughout this whole campaign season, I'll mention bills that somebody runs that I think are ridiculous. I don't mind doing that, but there's some of them I disagree with, but I really like them, and some of them are Democrats. Yeah. But in order to win their seat, they had to switch to Republican, and I think that's very harmful to our party, and I think in the end it may be harmful to the state because it goes against what people think they're voting for, because they all send out the same mailers. Yeah,
you can't even tell where they're coming from anymore.
Yeah, you can't tell where they're coming from, but all of them send out the same thing. Yeah. It's the he sucks things, but it's also I'm for this, I'm for Trump, I'm for guns, I'm for this and this. They all put out the same thing, but then when they get elected, I hate Trump. And I've seen it many times. But
yeah, you've been through this process. Every election cycle is different too. There's a hot topic in every election cycle, whether the COVID deal or election integrity or CRT, DEI stuff, the education part. Ryan Walters was a big part of that.
Yeah.
That cycle. And then this year, the cycle has been data centers, the aluminum smelter, and then,
Well, I saw a data center is going in. I guess it's not where you are. It's out west of town. The big deal, just a deal was just
north of Chickasha. Yeah.
North of Chickasha, right?
Between Chickasha and Total.
Yeah, and I actually, I'm a numbers guy, so I was kind of curious about the numbers on that transaction. So I looked into it, and that particular data center, although it is going to gobble up a lot of land, I don't understand that actually. But why they needed 500 acres seems crazy. But because you can fit a data center on a few acres, I would assume. But they paid a lot for the land, but the water issue there, again, I'm not defending the data center. I'm just saying it's a closed loop system.
Yeah.
Theoretically, it shouldn't have a negative impact on the water. Electricity, maybe so. I don't know what the deal they struck there is.
Yeah, I think they're going to generate their own electricity.
Well, see, if they generate their own electricity, maybe that's why they need the acreage. Maybe they're going to put a whole ton of solar panels out there. But
that may be right too. Yeah, it's very interesting. Were you in the Senate when we eliminated the state subsidies for green energy, or was that further back?
Further back, some. Now,
Maisie talked about
there's
that.
Some that still exist.
At the federal level too, right?
But there are some in the state that still exist, but they're very minimal compared to what it used to be. Now, I would argue I'm an advocate for solar, but not like public solar.
Right.
That's ugly. I mean, you
mean like putting it on your house
individually? Yeah, put it on your house
something.
Individual. Yeah, if you
not
can do
utility
it.
grade.
No, I don't like that
projects.
because how many acres are they going to swallow up, and people can't build homes and stuff, and you have fields and fields of solar. I'm not a big fan of that.
This is interesting because
the windmills. I hate them both actually for that reason.
It's interesting, and I'd love to talk about economic development and how the state uses different tools, legal tools, to create economic incentives. But I had one of my best friends is a landman in Texas, and he's mostly doing renewable contracts now. Went from oil and gas to renewable.
Really?
And was talking about these utility grade projects, and
they're
the benefits to landowners, but also the takeaways, the tax incentives. And
the tax incentives have to go away,
right?
Because if you're going to buy somebody's 100 acres and put solar panels out there, that's perfectly up to the landowner. He can sell it. Perfectly up to the new landowner to put solar panels. That's not the government's business, in my opinion. And the local community can ban them if they want, if the voters want them to do that. But they should get incentives. It should work on its own merit. Just like you on your equipment, you don't want your competitor to get an incentive to sell grapples.
If he gets a tax break and I don't.
Yeah, and that's how the incentives work.
Right.
It never is fair.
Right.
It's the person that knew the right politician or could fill out the form or hire the better attorney, probably like the one that went up by Chickasha. I'm sure, after reading the size of that company, I'm sure they have good lawyers. I'm sure they figured out how to take advantage of whatever loopholes were there. But, okay, so the data centers, the smelter is becoming an issue. To be honest with you, I'm going to say this. I hope it doesn't hurt who I've already endorsed, my dear friend Mike Mazie, who will make an amazing governor. I encourage you to vote for him. But I'm going to say this, and I don't think it hurts Mike, but I served with Mike for a number of years. I know his voting record. If the incentive was on the floor for a vote and Mike Mazie was a senator, I almost guarantee he'd vote no. But the reality on the smelter is, which is kind of curious, where was Drummond when actually incentive was being voted through and put through? Where was he then?
Was it public? Yeah.
It was all public, of course. It was a vote. I mean, everybody had a vote. My wife, the current Senator Standridge for this district, who's amazing, the best senator in the entire state, by the way, she voted no, as a lot of her conservative. I assume Senator Sacchieri probably
I think she voted for it. She may have gone back or they may have done something different.
Maybe. Okay.
We talked about it on my podcast.
I think she voted against it, actually. Yeah, I think there's one conservative senator that I was surprised, but it was a constituent issue. Almost all of the conservative senators voted no, I believe. Yeah. But I don't want to throw anybody under the bus for voting yes.
We talked about it
except for David Bullard. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
But yeah, so it's already been voted. Right. The question is, and that was extremely public. I mean, it was public. The grassroots was in an uproar. They were coming to the Capitol. They said, don't vote on this. Where was General Drummond? He was Attorney General at the time, right?
Right.
So if he really didn't agree with it and he thinks it's Muslims taking over the world, where was he then?
Yeah.
When he had the power to do something. So this is all politics.
Sure.
And the same could be said for Mike. If Mike had been there, he'd have been a no vote. But if it would have became law and he was Secretary of Commerce that would dole out the money, he'd have to abide by the law.
Sure.
Just as if he becomes governor, and maybe he'll ask them to reverse it. I don't know. Probably not, since it's already passed. He doesn't have a say in that. What he has a say in is like the legislature already gave him all the free money.
Right. If
I'm governor, I'm coming in. The train has already left the station, as they say.
Yeah.
And Drummond was nowhere to be found when the train was leaving the station.
That was interesting. The second time I interviewed Maisie, we asked him about, hey, do you want to give us your views on the smelter issue and why you now support it, I guess, or he talked about Trump's view on the smelter and I kind of share the same view, and even Kendall and I talked about it. She's my senator, and
she's an amazing senator.
Yeah, very conservative, and I've supported her. We talked about this. We want manufacturing to come back to America, and we certainly want it in Oklahoma. We want to create good-paying, high-skilled jobs in Oklahoma, especially rural Oklahoma. Especially
manufacturing. You hit the nail on it.
I mean, there's so much trickle-down effect, and we saw the national security implications if we don't. During COVID, when everything shut down and we couldn't get anything.
That's right.
Because all of our manufacturing's overseas, right?
Our drugs are overseas. Trump has said this numerous times.
And I kind of want to pose the question, would you support the smelter if we could guarantee it was environmentally friendly or safe,
right,
and didn't include taxpayer subsidies and was majority owned by a U.S.-based company?
You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know. That's the problem with tax incentives. You probably would never even know it was coming.
Right.
If it hadn't gone through the government.
Sure. That's the whole deal.
Yeah. So, and I don't like that. I voted against practically every incentive. Mike and I touched on one that I did support, the aerospace engineer tax credit. The ones that are very narrowly targeted, I can get on board with if I know it's not picking winners and losers.
Right.
I would have had a hard time with the smelter. Because I'm like, well, what about the guy that's building trailers? Why didn't he he's a manufacturer. Why didn't he get the $1 billion?
Sure.
So sorry, President Trump, but I mean, I would have had a hard time voting for that. But it's law. It's already been passed.
They passed it. Yeah.
It's already done. The check has been signed. It's done. But you're right. 99.9% of citizens of Oklahoma, if you polled them, the 0.1% are the people in Inola, but
right, sure.
99.9% of Oklahomans are going to say, yes, we want those jobs. Yes, we want the national security that comes along with making something like aluminum, which is important to national security and independence as a country. So yeah, what you hit is exactly right. I'm sure Kendall agreed. It must be safe.
Those three things.
It must be safe. We ought to not do the incentive, but it's already been done. So now what do? You got the jobs. You must make it safe.
Yeah. Chris Manning said the same thing. I think he has the same philosophy.
And he probably voted no, Chris, I would assume. I bet he did.
He said the same thing. He said it's not even legal that a foreign-owned entity can own property in Oklahoma. Now, I think Kendall told me that the land is in a trust that's owned by
we need to fix some loopholes there, which...
but Chris was kind of like the same thing. We want the jobs. We want national security implications of owning the critical metals and manufacturing sources here, but he has a problem with,
foreign ownership.
Well,
you know where our major problem in Senator Mike Maisie and I yesterday got into this because a friend of mine, Don Anderson, he's the Mark Woodward was the former head of the BND. Senator Darrell Weaver was the head of OSBI or Bureau of Narcotics when I came in. But they'll tell you every day of the week that our biggest problem with foreign land ownership is around marijuana and the Chinese. Yeah. They own a lot of land, and they bought it up to grow marijuana to illicitly traffic or sell in the black market to New Jersey. And that's where, so every time they stop a semi-truck carrying black market marijuana back east, it's always Chinese nationals that are there, and they don't even know what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah. Woodward would tell me, well, Rob, they barely know where they're at. They can't tell you the suppliers, they can't tell you, but it's all Chinese money. And so and it's not to say the UAE should own anything either.
Sure.
But there's some loophole problems there. And Maisie, if you watch I'll leave it to Maisie to tell you about it. You can watch that podcast. He goes through that and talks through where forms that they created.
Yeah, you can just say that I'm planning to become a citizen.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm planning to become. And I mean, what does that mean? Nothing. It means there's nothing. Oh. So the smelters, the data centers, those are data centers. This one out there, again, I'm a little curious on the transaction and stuff. It's odd to me, but it's a closed loop cooling system. So it sounds like they're trying to tackle the water issue. This particular company.
Yeah. I think initially they take a lot of water, but then once they're closed loop, it's not like they're using it every day. But our power plants are using. The Sooner Power Plant, Call Lake. There's several power plants. The one out here on the Canadian River. They use a lot of water,
tons of water,
and they do it safely.
Yeah.
So maybe we can do it safely. They put scrubbers on their exhaust.
Yeah.
So their exhaust
makes exhaust a lot more visible. People think it's worse, but it's actually better, right?
Yeah. So I mean, there's and again going back to like the economic incentive packages that are legal and usually voted on, but manufacturing is one of them.
Yeah.
You get that 5-year manufacturing tax credit or abatement or exemption, and it's paid for back by the state, right? State income tax, I think.
I think so. Yeah,
right.
It's
pays back the local municipality or whatever on that ad valorem.
There's a state question that I'm a no on. Actually, I'm not in office anymore, so I can tell people how I'm voting.
Me neither.
Yeah. I'm a no on that because I just don't think trust is not the right word. That sounds like I'm criticizing the legislature. I just don't think. I think that's a local issue, and if you give the legislature the latitude to spread the losses across the state, they're just going to give out more incentives.
Sure,
it's an incentive encourager vote. So I would say vote no on it. I forget which number it is.
Yeah,
but the one about that. So what about nuclear? So are you lobbying for a nuclear power plant out in Marlow?
I don't know anything about nuclear, really, honestly.
Well,
I assume it's safe now.
It's coming.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you want one in Marlow?
No. That's that too. It'd be great. We can talk about this. Not in my backyard.
Right.
We all share that. I mean, we don't want a refinery, a power plant,
because there's some land over
industrial
here,
park.
But I'm not sure if I want the nuclear power. But I want nuclear energy.
Sure.
I just don't want it right there. So this is the Inola thing. Is they want the jobs, and this national security interest of this. I'm surprised that isn't a bigger factor in people's talking about it. But it's a not in my backyard deal, and which is surprising because it's going to create a ton of jobs.
I think, what did Maisie say, the $10 billion impact to our economy in Oklahoma?
Yeah, but the biggest impact is right there.
9,000 jobs or something. And
people
people have asked me, why don't we put it out in northwest Oklahoma where there's no one there?
There is no, yeah.
That's the problem. There's no one there. There's no workers. There's no access to ports
and that
and
part
interstates.
And that part might hurt, I know. Let's be honest. I mean, because you start stealing jobs. That's why I don't like the tax incentive, because you hurt local businesses because you're taking all those jobs, because you're paying the button turner more money now.
Sure.
But again, the ship has sailed, so to speak.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Even like California. California has become a not in my backyard place where it's no longer business friendly.
Yes.
To start a
business. They've taken it to such
Tesla
a degree.
has left, and all these companies are leaving California. Right. Refineries, they've lost their refineries. Yeah. And I get it. You don't want it in your backyard.
Right.
I don't either. But if we want to be energy independent, we want to have manufacturing and high quality jobs. If we want to be a producing state or country instead of just consuming, do we have to, there's a little bit give and take there.
Yeah, those are tough issues. It's which, by the way, you ran for House. Mm-hmm. You didn't win. Jake and I talked about this. I think I'm going to start calling it outcome-based politics, because we talked about how maybe we shouldn't say lose. We didn't advance. I think is what Jake came up with. We didn't advance, but
I got second place.
But you would be an excellent legislator, in my opinion. So I definitely wouldn't push that totally out of the realm of possibility down the road when Kendall terms out in 10 years. Yeah. But your opponent seems to be business friendly as well. I assume you got to know him on the campaign trail. Now that he is advanced, so to speak, do you have any thoughts on how, any particular areas that he might draw you in? Because a lot of times, like when I've advanced, I've actually went back to some people I've run against, and even some of their staunch supporters, and talked to them about some of the issues that they brought up. Have you? Is it Cole? Is correct, right? Have you and him visited since the election at all?
Not since the night of. Okay. Of course, I want to support him, and I want him to do great. I hope he does a great job, and I think him and I would see eye to eye on most things. That was the hard part about the campaign, differentiating ourselves. It was Cole and Cody, and we both looked the same.
And it was a close race, right?
It was a very close race, just a few percentage points. But I plan to. I hope he reaches out. Where he comes from, the trucking industry, and he's 10 years younger, and so I think his generation and where he's from, just a different set of ideas than that southern end of our district that's a little more rural, a little more small town, aging population, and I think I hope he reaches out to more leaders inside the district, and get our opinions.
I would encourage him to do that.
I think I touch more on the rural stuff, the small business stuff, the agriculture part, so I hope we can work together and whoever's my representative or senator or president, I want to support them.
Yeah.
And I want to see them succeed because that's my life and my family. So
if you're on episode, what did I hear?
31.
31. So which is your favorite?
The Rob Stanridge podcast was my favorite one.
Okay. Well, let's go to your second favorite.
Yeah.
But seriously, what is some of your favorite moments, things you've covered, maybe surprises? It's 31 episodes. That's quite a bit of information that you've covered now. What has been some cool
Probably
moments?
my most influential one, the one that meant the most to me, was my first one.
Okay.
Chris Rao, one of my good friends, and I actually wanted him to run for state representative when Brad Bowles decided not to run.
Okay.
He was my first call before I decided to get in the race.
Okay.
Just a man who has built a family and businesses and very successful in business, but he also had personal struggles. He struggled with alcohol, struggled with his faith, kind of come in and out, trying to decide where his life wants to be.
Like most in the world, right.
But very successful businessman. And sometimes got consumed in his business and neglected the other side. Like I said, he was my first episode, and I wanted him to be my first because I knew it would be so impactful.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I interviewed my old pastor.
Okay.
That was superintendent of Marlow Public Schools, and then he was our pastor for 20 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we just did audio only, so it was a little more laid back.
Yeah.
We didn't have the cameras on us, but getting to sit down with someone that you look up to in faith and family and just a great communicator, he made a big impact. And I was this whole deal, even with elected officials, is trying to humanize people.
Yeah.
You've seen that in public office. It's very easy to get on Facebook and bash someone.
Or these crazy mailers.
Yeah, business owners,
I hate those.
Educators, your church leaders. It's very easy to point the finger. Why aren't you doing this a little different and better? And why are you imperfect?
Right.
Well, everyone is, including the pastor.
That's right.
And they have home struggles. They have financial struggles.
And the elected official, and the pastor, and the principal, and the teacher.
So that's the whole point of.
And the equipment salesperson. Yeah. Everybody's broken and fallen, but sometimes we expect more out of the other person than we expect out of ourselves. But
sure. Those were two really good ones that
I bet.
I really like. Do you know Jason Hicks, our district attorney down there?
I have met.
And Steve Fair, you probably know Steve Fair.
I know Steve Fair, and I think Jason, there was something I visited with him one time about, but it's been a number of years.
Very influential, especially in our area and the 4 counties that he covers. Just a man I look up to in faith and leadership. And obviously very smart, very diversified in the things that he's an expert in. And then tribal stuff and just law, and
you have to be.
So having Jason on was great because he came from Chickasha.
Okay,
kind of a local guy. They were in the restaurant business, and then he ran for DA.
How long has he been DA down there? Quite
almost
a while.
20 years now.
I figured it's been a while. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but some of those were really good.
Yeah, that sounds good. So you have an equipment company.
Mm-hmm.
Did it ever? And you actually did how to? And I'd say with a skid steer, you need to do what not to.
Right.
Videos too. I don't want to tell you some of the mistakes I made, but when I look at them, I'm like, "Yeah, dummy." And that's where AI has really been helpful to me on stuff like that because it's like the expert in your phone. But I would encourage skid steer either users to call Cody when you buy the thing and say, hey, "Is this the way?" No, don't show anybody how you're doing it. That's wrong.
Yeah.
But you've done the how-to. Have you ever thought of doing like videos about that and projects people do with them? The reason I ask is because when you look out on YouTube, and like when I told you about solar, I'm into some solar stuff to save money. But when you look at that, those videos get like hundreds of thousands or millions of views.
Thought about that. So obviously over the last year, I planned on being a state representative.
Oh,
so
true that.
That was the life.
Oh, yeah, and you wouldn't have time to do a whole lot of
business and things were kind of that was the plan, to be a state rep for 12 years, I guess, or however long they wanted me. So, but now, I'm trying to decide. Kind of goes back to the podcast. Do I want to keep doing some politics? Do I want to get back into business and entrepreneurship? And then, like, through my experience through the chamber, I won't be chamber president forever, but I love going and doing shorts. I did when beef prices started to spike. Wow. I did a couple of short videos. I did one at the local auction, livestock auction. I did one with a friend that owns some grocery stores. What are you seeing on the retail side, the producer side? So now that I'm freed up from my election, I kind of want to do, and I always watch like dozer mechanics too. I might want to do some, just put on some Ray-Ban Meta glasses or whatever, and here's how we change this and fix that. And then I want to do some shorts, not just do a business spotlight. Go to a feed store, go to a local business boutique restaurant, and then just ask them the story and talk about what they do. So it kind of goes back to the colony.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say,
the colony.
One thing Jake says, there's going to be a local piece in there. So if they want to see what's going on in Marlow, they can click and drill down. Yeah. Maybe they'd see a short by Cody Elliott that says, here's what's happening at this place on Saturday. Yeah, so I'm excited. I just can't. It sounds like I'm involved in this and I'm plugging it. I'm not. I mean,
you should.
I will be. Well, I mean, I think I'll be one of the podcasts, but I love it when people think of good ideas.
Sure.
I really, and I told Jake this, as a successful business guy for many years now, 30, 40 years, you can't imagine, especially when you get a little bit of success on a national, international level, you get inundated. I just got an email last night from somebody who wants me to do something. So I love good ideas. Hate's the wrong word. I dislike vacuous ideas that are good, but nobody's willing to do anything to execute them. I don't like that. You should do it this way. Like you said on your podcast, well, you should ask this question. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Sure.
Once you get off your butt and do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't like those kind of ideas, but I love the kind of ideas where somebody pitches it, whether I'm involved financially or not, and they say, here's how it works, and here's how we're executing, and here's our goal. I mean, Jake laid it out like that. It's not just a story from a politician that says this should be done, which a lot of politicians do. This is from a guy that's an entrepreneur and a political guy and says this is what the state needs, and by the way, I'm going to execute it and make it happen. And I'm blown away. I think it's going to be big, and I'm going to continue to promote it, and hopefully it happens, whether how much I'm involved or not. But make sure you catch the Here I Go Again podcast when you pull it up.
Yeah.
And the Frontier Mindset. But I think it's going to be big.
I hope so. Yeah. So if people don't know what the colony is, it's going to be a subscription-based kind of website, catch all, the Blaze, the Daily Wire type website. But Jake wants to not only have conservative news, but entertainment and maybe sports, and there might be a radio aspect where you have live shows and just contributors, whether that's written articles, podcast shows, daily content. The colony is going to be a website, kind of just a catch-all, especially, but focused primarily on faith and conservative news, and have several contributors, bringing them all together. So a lot of us have podcasts or articles. We talked about that at lunch.
Yeah, like Jason
We're
Murphy's,
on
Substack, Everett Piper. You got all these folks that just
bringing everyone together into one. And I'm looking forward to being a contributor to that. And again, going back to my podcast and what I want to do, I've got to make that decision. Do I want this to be a business or is it a hobby?
Right.
And I think anyone in social media or doing these type of things are you just doing it for fun, something you love, which it started for me.
Yeah.
Or
Same
do I
here.
want to turn it? Anything I do, I want to turn into a business.
Right.
Obviously.
Right. Yeah.
So hopefully the colony kind of leads to some of that. We can use it as a business and bring on advertisers and people that want to promote.
Well, my hope for it is this. It's actually fairly simple. I'm hoping in 2 or 4 years that voters in Oklahoma can turn off the TV, turn off the radio, except when Jake Merrick's on.
Yeah.
Turn that stuff off. Take those mailers. Don't even look at them. Throw them in the trash. Go to the colony. Find out information that's important about the people that are wanting to lead the state, and cast your vote because of that. These mailers, everyone I get now. Of course, it's Drummond and Maisie, and to me, in my mind, there's like no comparison. I know I don't want to put you on the spot, but for me, I mean, I respect General Drummond. I do. I worked with him when I was elected, but ideologically, there couldn't be a bigger chasm between those two. Mike Mazie is a staunch conservative. He's been that way his whole life. I mean, successful business guy. So something like the Colony, I think it would allow articles there about every candidate. Yeah. But I think it would give you an eye into who they really are. Because a lot of people, Jake said, well, if they just go to a forum. I said, Jake, Senator Merrick, 99% of people aren't going to do that.
Right.
Whether we want them to or not, or we can even try to guilt them into do it, but they're not going to do it. They're too busy. They're raising family. They got kids. They got activities. They don't have time to, probably even watch a whole podcast, except for our 2 podcasts.
That's right.
Watch all those. But they'll. But if you have a place where they know
one central location,
they can go. Wow, my kids don't have anything to do in Marlow this weekend. What's going on? One place you go instead of having to Google and everything and search for an hour and then probably end up at a dead end anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. I mentioned this about the podcast for the deal because I'm considering that. So I don't like solar from utility point. Not that I would say a utility can't put in solar; they can do what they want. But I just don't like the ugliness of the land with the windmills and the solar, although I respect a landowner's right to do with their land what they want.
Sure.
But I'm telling you, have you played around with solar? Have you done any of that? Mm-mm. So you have an office at your equipment, right?
Yep.
Is it air conditioned?
Yeah, I have a shop with office, air conditioner, you bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many square foot is it?
Yeah, 40 by 60, so yeah.
Oh, almost the same size as my man cave shop. So I have a man cave shop, and I have equipment in there, which you probably do. So I have to have between the months of March and now maybe October, I have to keep it somewhat cool.
Sure.
80 degrees, 85 degrees, or my thousands of dollars of equipment is going to be all ruined. It's going to be rusted over or whatever. This heat and cold destroys, high dollar equipment. So I had an air conditioner in there. And all I was doing is keeping it like at 80 or 85, but it's costing me $150, $200 a month for this little. Maybe it's not insulated the best it could be, but I don't know. What is your payment?
Our electric bill, for that shop's $100, $150, a month.
100,
yeah.
Probably during August and July, it's probably 150.
When air conditioner's cranking.
150. Yeah. So I thought, well, how much would it cost to? So how much do you think it would cost to? Just cool it.
Run myself on solar?
Yeah, just cool it. I mean, I had a single focus in mind.
Probably 3/4 of that. Yeah, it's probably sucked up by the air conditioner system, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so if you just paid your basic bill, it'd probably be, because you don't use much electricity other than that, probably computer, so probably $50.
Right.
So I put 8 solar panels and an air conditioner unit in. I think the air conditioner was like $1,500 and the panels were $80 each. So I think that's right. It might have been a little bit more than that, but a couple $1,000. And now I don't pay. Now it's just there.
That's all it cost you?
Yeah. And it's like 70 degrees when I walk in there. I mean, it's 110 outside and I walk in there and it's 70 degrees.
Maybe you should do a podcast about that, because I would have assumed it cost you $10,000 to put that system
in. If you hire somebody,
right? I
don't want to knock anybody out of work out there to put in solar. Yeah. If you call and you say, hey, I'm going to put an air conditioner system and I'm using $200 a month in electricity, they'd probably say, yeah, and I'll finance it for you.
Right, sure.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, so I got to pay my electric bill or a little bit more for the next 10 years, but then it'll all be paid off. I wouldn't recommend that. No, it's just do it yourself.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's get your rubber things that you slide your shoes in so you don't slide off your metal roof.
Right.
Is it a metal roof?
Yeah.
Oh, that's even easier. Yeah. Now shingles, I'm in a project. I'll show you right before we leave. I'm doing one here.
Interesting.
And I think I'm gonna video it all, because why not?
There you go. Yeah.
Why not?
Be a great DIY.
And so I did 8 panels there. Guess how many panels it's gonna take here?
What about 20?
144.
144.
Because I'm doing electric. I'm doing I'm tying in the grid and everything.
Oh yeah.
My electric bill here during the summer. Guess how much it is in this building?
$500.
$2,000.
Are you kidding?
No. So imagine if I got. Now we use a lot of other electricity besides air conditioning, but
sure.
What if I got that down to where it was an average of $250 a month?
You pay for that pretty quick.
Yeah, for sure.
The ROI on that.
So I already bought all the stuff. So now I'm having to buy all the equipment and maybe some video stuff so I can go do video outside. But yeah, so I'd be glad to show you what I did out there because it probably fit perfectly on your little building.
Use your roof space, save some money,
and you can tie in the air conditioner to the grid too. I didn't do that so that it comes on like if it's a cloudy day,
right?
Because I thought in my situation.
Do you have storage at all? Any batteries or anything like that?
No, I didn't do any of that. I just did AC only.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I told in the place I bought it from, I'll say it's Signature Solar. The place I bought it from kept questioning me about that, and I go, well, okay, give me the price for all that other stuff, and they did, and it's like blows you out. I mean, so you spend another $2,000 on batteries and all of that, and then you're still not safe because the batteries really won't run the air conditioner very long.
Right.
So what I really ought to do there is have the 8 panels powering that, and then another 8 or 10 panels powering a battery backup.
Right.
That would run the air conditioner for a couple hours, and then everything else. But anyway, well, you might think about that because you got the equipment. You could do some projects, and you're filming stuff anyway.
Might be fun.
Yeah.
Interesting idea.
Yeah.
You should film that and put it together as a video.
But it wouldn't. It probably. I mean, we're rambling here, but I don't know if it'd fit on my Here I Go Again podcast.
Sure. Yeah.
But I thought maybe you had done something like that. So you had on all the candidates. Did we miss a candidate? Who else? Did we miss a gubernatorial candidate?
I mean, the ones that made it through the primary and on to the Maisie, Drummond, Munson, and of course I did Chip Keating and McCall before the primary.
Yep. Have you had? Who have you had on since the primary? You had Drummond and Maisie.
Drummond, Maisie, and Munson.
Oh, and Munson.
Yep.
Okay.
Those are and I've done 5 since the primary, but I did Chris Banning, a lady named Brittany Anderson.
Okay, who is she?
She's like a Republican Women's Club. And,
in your area?
She's out of Kingfisher, Piedmont area, I think. But
I'm going to have. I met with Jake the other day at Black Rifle Company Coffee Company.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've never been there before, actually. It was really good. I ran into a friend of ours, Susie Ashmore, who's a huge Republican women's leader in our county, and I told her there I need to text her because I want to have her on. So it's cool you had Brittany on. I'm sure Brittany's similar to Susie. It's just she's involved in veterans. I tell you, when you see somebody involved in Republican politics, and this is not to demean Democrat politics, I have no idea what they do. But when you see, especially women, let me pick on men by praising women for a second. When I run into a lady that's like Kay Osborne, who's been president of Helen Cole many times, Helen Cole Republican group, but like Susie Ashmore, I want to have both those ladies on. They're always doing so much.
Right.
You think, oh well, they're taking their time to volunteer for this Republican Women's Club. That's great. Every time I meet one of them, the list of what they do to help other people is endless, Cody.
Yeah.
I don't know if did you hear that from Brittany?
That's the reason. Yeah, she has a couple businesses and she's in a couple clubs, nonprofits. Yeah.
So does she have children or is she younger than older?
She's a mother, single mother.
Single mother.
So,
okay.
Yeah, just an interesting conversation too.
So she's a single mom with 2 kids.
Yeah.
She volunteers for that. She has businesses she runs. Man, these are some dynamo women. I mean, it's amazing. Right. Yeah. So it's
had a lot of women on. Yeah, I mean teachers and business owners, elected officials. Yeah, I mean just hearing their stories. I mean dealing with kids and volunteering and business and.
I need to have Senator Standridge on, but her schedule's
you
so
should.
tight.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Yeah, I need to have Kendall on as well. Yeah. But so you have those. So what? For the people who got to go watch the Frontier Mindset podcast, what do you have any plans on upcoming guests? Do you have any slotted out that you're thinking about bringing on? Or
we've talked to a few. Again, am I going to get back into more business and entrepreneurship or do more politicians? A few of them I've reached out to, like T.W. Shannon, see if we could find some time with him. That'd be a great one. And then we'll see how it goes coming up to November and who's available and who's still in the race. But there's a few of them that we've talked to a lot of business owners in my area. I want to get some manufacturing backgrounds, some more agriculture. I told you we did the beef. Yeah. I wanted to do a whole thing with beef, several different short shows, and now I want to do one with cotton. So I'm working on with one of the cotton gins over in Carnegie. See if I could do something like just our food, fiber, energy, just kind of touch on everything. Especially Oklahoma based, Yeah. And so cotton's one of my next projects to do on.
So do you have friends or family that grow cotton out there?
Yeah. Okay. Out in western Oklahoma, and it's still big cotton country.
Oh yeah, it is.
In the turn of the century, last 100 years ago, there was 300 cotton gins.
So, but wheat is still our number one.
Wheat's number one cash crop, yeah. And I think cotton's third
Is
now.
third? Okay.
But, just interesting. Yeah, I've got a lot of family. My wife's from Carnegie, and they still grow a lot of cotton in that area, in the cotton gin there in Carnegie. So just kind of that goes back to like that how-to. I want to talk about how it's grown, how it's baled, how it's transported, how much do they refine at a local cotton gin. Once that's done, it goes to the, whatever fabric, the Wrangler, the, whatever shirt company.
You're wearing it.
Yeah, you're wearing it, and then I wanted to talk about, because we're wearing plastic now.
Yeah.
Polyester, nylon, elastic. Cotton is being replaced with synthetic materials and where that's going. So, anyway, that's kind of a little project I want to work on.
So you probably never watched Seinfeld, right?
Oh, yeah, back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was
big Seinfeld.
That was my wife and I, when we got married, that was our favorite show. We lived in a little 3-bedroom house. Well, we lived in a little bit of rent house to begin with, tiny little house, but it was awesome. But we bought a house a couple years into marriage, and just a couple miles from here actually. And I built a deck on the back of the house, a big huge deck, and I put a hot tub out there. So it's a little bitty house, but a big deck and a hot tub. And so we in the evening, we'd get off work, we'd roll the TV out, because we didn't have iPads, and the kids watch it. They don't realize that technology, how fast it has grown in the last 20 or 30 years. So I'm not that old, but when I got married in the 90s, we didn't really have cell phones yet. Really.
Right.
We didn't have anything, which is great. I mean, I think it might have been a more enjoyable time sometimes. But anyway, we'd roll that out. We'd sit in the hot tub and watch Seinfeld. But there's an episode, you mentioned polyester, one of my favorite episodes, George Costanza. So he's working for the Yankees. So George Steinbrenner, is played by Larry David. But anyway, he one of the creators of the show. But George is sitting there. George is such an idiot, He's a little idiot, and so he was talking to the players about how the polyester uniforms they were wearing were too hot. They didn't stretch good. So he came up with this brilliant idea of let's switch to cotton. Cotton's the soft, cotton and everything. So they go out there. And it starts raining, and the cotton which probably wouldn't happen in real life. I'm sure they pre-shrink.
Shrinking and everything, yeah.
But it shrinks in the camera. And the announcer's like, oh, so-and-so is falling down between first and second base. He can't run. And all this.
It was a disaster.
Yeah. So that reminded me of that. So the polyester. So, but yeah, cotton is definitely the most comfortable. Yeah. But
I'd like to do, again, more manufacturing.
Yeah.
I have you've probably heard of Sooner Trailer.
Yeah.
Sooner Trailer started in Duncan. And,
okay, I didn't know that.
Family's still around there. It's another example of they grew from a 2-bay shop, 4 employees, to a $40 million company in the early 90s when they sold out, 400 employees, first in the business for aluminum trailers, and they sold out, and then just slowly these things have started to go away. There used to be 30 trailer manufacturers in Chickasha.
Really?
Now there's like 4. Yeah, just
because they're all getting bought out.
A lot of it was steel trailers, just small mom and pops, people working out of their backyards. But yeah, just and a lot of our trailers now are made in Mexico and imported.
Okay.
Just the cheaper labor, the NAFTA agreements, and things like that. And they're made with cheap Chinese steel. I may just try to do something like that, local.
So you kind of see that when an industry blows up. We've seen it several times with roofing in Oklahoma, where all of a sudden, because you have a burst of need, instead of 10 more companies jumping up, you have 150 more companies. Right. And half of them are bound to go out of business or maybe get gobbled up by the other ones. I think you've probably seen that in trailers 10, 20, maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago, where, he's selling them down on that mile. I can make a dealership. I can make a better one here. And then it started growing bigger and bigger, because 20 or 30 years ago, most of the time you buy a trailer, it's going to be from a guy that's in his garage welding, a few miles from your house. Now it's like you said, it's all dealerships now. Yeah. And they've gobbled up those little guys. It reminds me of, Mike Reynolds, former Representative Mike Reynolds?
Yes.
You should have him on your podcast. Mike is a very interesting guy. I love Mike. He's a good friend of mine. But we were talking about, I guess that reminds me of it, plus the incentive talk. We were talking about the golf carts. So talk about an incentive that went wrong. I don't know if this is maybe a little bit before you, but in the early 2000s, there's this incentive to get a golf cart. And between the state incentive and the federal incentive, our genius lawmakers on the state level, they matched essentially the federal deal. Overnight, golf carts became free. And so all these people, and Mike Reynolds actually did a press release about it. Said, "Go get your free golf cart."
Yeah.
Even though I voted against all this stupid
Is
stuff.
this because of fuel mileage and things like that?
I forget the rationale,
Yeah.
and I don't even know if Mike remembers the rationale. But it was funny in that he's like a staunch conservative that voted against all those incentives. But then when it passed, he like puts out a press release and said, "This is how bad they did the math. You can go down and buy you." And they were selling Mercedes golf carts because I told Mike I happened to be at the Mercedes dealership and they had a Mercedes golf cart.
Wow.
Because of this incentive that popped out. Anyway, they were free, so everybody started going getting them, and then they fixed their mistake because I think they really only intended to honor the federal one. Anyway, it was a weird deal. They just screwed it up, and so the state fixed their loophole, but all these golf cart companies popped up almost overnight. People
Right.
would go out and order 50 golf carts because all their buddies were going to get a free one. Well, they all went bankrupt because they ended up with 50 golf carts and the people didn't get their money, so they didn't follow through on buying it.
Sounds like a good example of the government tampering with markets,
Government
with free
needs
markets.
to stay out of free market. They need to stay out. I mean, I get it. There's a competition amongst the states.
Sure.
You know, if you're a legislator, you're like, oh, well, we want
The smelter plant. If we don't do it,
Yeah.
Arkansas will. Or,
That's correct. I saw the Trump quote on that. Yeah, if they're not doing it, there's 20 other states, and I think he's probably right.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw the deal with Panasonic. I voted against the
right,
Panasonic.
the battery plant deal.
Yes, it was so dumb. I mean, the last thing in the world Panasonic needs is money, but they ended up going to another state. I think Kansas.
Yeah.
And so,
But then you have the examples like Canoe, when they were going to build electric
or the rocket plane.
mail trucks here or whatever. Yeah, they
the
took the
rocket-
incentives and then folded up.
Well, the rocket plane was $20 million.
Yeah.
People don't remember. I mean, yes, political memory is so short.
Sure.
If you remember every negative thing, then you'd really probably get a little disgusted. So when are you going to? So I assume you're going to go into both for a while. So
Yep.
when are you going to? Are you just? Maybe that's a good path for you. Just kind of do a little bit of both.
Yeah, we'll still do both, and
Right.
do those parallel to each other.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the colony. We'll
Yeah.
see if I think he's going live. I think in September. Did he say? And
He was hoping to go live this week, but I think it's September 1st. I
Yeah.
think, but I'm going to leave that to Jake.
we'll kind of see where that goes.
yeah.
And of course, I would the more I contribute to the colony, I would want people focused on that. And not spreading my social media and my podcast out as much probably. And then of course the equipment business, we're going to keep that going. That's our primary income, and gosh, I have 2 kids in middle school.
Okay.
My daughter playing softball, basketball, and she's going to do golf this year. My son's
golf.
football, basketball, baseball.
Okay.
And
they have a golf team in Marlow?
Yep,
Okay.
great golf program. The girls have been state champions multiple times.
So what
over
year
last
can you start golf in Marlow?
Middle school.
So seventh
Middle
grade?
school, yeah, 7th grade.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
So, busy with that.
That's early. See, my
Very
son's
busy.
school doesn't have golf,
Yeah.
so he can't. Of course, he
It's very
plays the
nice.
other sports, but I wish they had golf.
Yeah, we'll see where those go. Of course, our storage business, and I'm still an officer with our Republican Party in Stevens County.
Okay.
And a state committeeman. I'm still chamber president, so
You're busy.
plenty to do.
Plenty busy, yeah.
So again, the podcast. How much of a business do I want that to be? I'd love to set up my own studio, and that would make it easier not only with guests, but if I wanted to do individual just solos and short videos.
Yeah.
Some of that. So
Well, this isn't convenient for you, but you're welcome to use this
Right.
studio.
I appreciate that.
anytime you want.
A little bit of a drive.
Yeah, a little bit. But if you had to meet somebody from Tulsa, maybe it'd be
It's
halfway
tough.
there.
Especially
But,
being in Southwest Oklahoma. If I wanted
Yeah.
somebody in Tulsa, I've rented little studios. I've
Yeah.
gone to Tulsa and rented.
Well, you're
little
welcome to use
spaces.
this anytime. Like if you have a
appreciate
Tulsa
that.
guest, you want to do it live in person. Now I did Maisie's yesterday. I use a product. I don't know if you recommend this to me or not. StreamYard.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, to do remotes. Yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't talk about remotes. And
Yeah, we did. We didn't really talk about so much. I mean, Holly brought it up a little bit, but when you're in politics, when you're in office, and and you get out, I think sometimes at least your supporters and friends, they think you're automatically going to do something else,
Right.
political. And I'm not saying I ever shut the door on that back when I got out, but I was like, it just, for me personally, God has to put it on my heart. It has to be on my heart,
Sure.
to do something. And boy, I look at these people running. I'm like, no, but people would keep encouraging me to do something. And I knew it was on my heart to do something.
Yeah.
And so you called me. I don't remember, you messaged me or something and said, "Oh, you want to come on this podcast?" And I thought, "Yeah, I do. That sounds cool." And so I don't know if anybody ever mentioned to me, "Hey, you should do a podcast." I think I might have alluded to that with you, but I don't know if anybody ever said that specifically. They told me I should do a radio program. No radio shows called me.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, but I mean, because I went on with you and you do such a fantastic job, Cody. I'm not just saying that. I mean, you do a great job. I like watching your podcasts. Haven't seen or heard them all.
Yeah.
I've watched quite a few of them, and you do a great job. You do a great job on TV or radio too.
I appreciate
and so because of that interaction and that experience, it kind of said, well, that seems like something I would enjoy doing. So kind of like you, I'm doing this for enjoyment. I mean, I don't know. I've been pretty blessed in business, so I'm not sure if I ever expect to, quote, make money on it. But I do enjoy it, and I think it's something we can help along with the colony to get the word out.
Sure.
So you should keep interviewing. I think not only do the business stuff, but also keep being impactful in state leadership, in politics, because I know people listen to you because I have people tell me you're the first person Jake Merrick mentioned to me when he told me about the colony. So, which I thought was awesome. So it'll be Frontier Mindset Podcast over here on the top left, and here I go again somewhere down here. But it's going to be cool and maybe we can do some. It might be kind of cool to have
collaboration.
Yeah, some collaboration on the colony. So I don't know. Jake didn't really say that. He might say
he does want to cross, and then your viewers become mine, and mine come to yours.
Okay. Yeah, so we kind of build some momentum, and that may be what Roberta Lewis. I don't know if I mentioned this on the air on the podcast earlier, but she reached out to me. I think do you know her? Have you visited
just from her running and seeing her on social media?
Yeah, I saw her running. Yeah. In fact, it's not far from here.
I haven't listened to her show or anything.
Yeah, and I knew her. I know the current rep, and I know the other guy that ran in that race too. So I know all three of them, but and that's the trouble with politics. Sometimes you know everybody, and you're like kind of like the governor's race. I think the world of Chip and Frank Keating. I mean, Frank Keating is awesome, and Chip Keating is awesome. I really think the world of the Keatings, and I know Chip worked really, really hard for that. I really like some of the things he did. I love where he comes from. I mean, he's an entrepreneur. I mean, he doesn't have a lazy bone in his body. He's a hardworking guy. I think he'd work extremely hard as governor. So you have all those people in there, good people running. And of course, I have the people I want, but it's not always mutually exclusive. It's not like, okay, well, if Cody doesn't win, I'm okay. I mean, it's like, and so I think voters like Jake Merrick supporters, we talked about this, they can't get discouraged and take their toys and go home. They need to stay involved.
Stay engaged. Yeah.
Right?
And Jake, they were looking for Jake to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't realize Jake has said that. There's not a whole lot of conservative voices, local conservative voices that, have been trustworthy.
Yeah.
Or in local, other than news stations.
And how do you find them? I mean, that's the thing. Like he mentioned Jason Murphy. I served with Jason. Jason and I did several significant bills together. We defunded Planned Parenthood in my first 2 years, and I did that with Jason Murphy. I think it was a Senate vehicle, not a House vehicle, Jason. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. Jason's awesome. He's a great legislator, great guy. If you ask me to get online and find his stuff now, I mean, I could Google it and maybe find it that way. But if you ask me on September 1st where to find him, I say go to the colony.
Yeah, bringing them all together in one place. Yeah.
And that sounds like that's too simple. Like, Rob, get off your butt and go find out what Jason Murphy is.
Right.
And I'm less lazy is not the right word. I'm less engaged than most voters.
Yeah,
I'm not even going out and having a favorites list of where all I go for my news consumption.
Yeah.
So I think having one resource that's robust and has all these things, and having the Frontier Mindset podcast on there. So what other things do you have? Any other plans, schemes, things you're working on?
No, nothing major. I mean, other than what I've kind of talked about. We'll see what life brings. Okay. We'll see. But that's kind of my focus. Keep the business going. Hopefully keep the podcast going.
Yeah.
And see where the podcast goes. Contribute to the colony. And we'll see what life after the chamber looks like. And again, over the last year, my life was going to be state representative.
Yeah.
And all, you know how that goes. It's not just 4 months a year. It's a year-round job.
Yeah.
So with the people I've met there, you know, I've thought, what can I do? Where can I serve? Where can I make an impact? You know, eventually I'll roll off as chamber president. We've got some projects there. We're rebuilding our playground. We're moving our museum, the Marlowe Museum. But I still kind of go back to some of that business stuff, and I'm very passionate about like the micro movement, blue collar, the trades. So I thought maybe there's something I can do with our VOTEX. The VOTEX and our career tech system was going to be a big focus of mine in the State House. Maybe I can still make an impact there. And,
yeah, for sure.
And promote small businesses. Maybe this vehicle of the colony and my podcast can help me and help others promote small business. And,
I'd say for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's great having you on, Cody.
I appreciate it.
For everybody out there, go online, go to Spotify, go to Facebook, look up the Frontier Mindset podcast, especially that Standridge episode.
That's right, yeah.
But go out there and you got Chip Keating, you got all those gubernatorial candidates, and Cindy Munson. Holy cow, Cody, come on.
If you want to hear from a Democrat.
Yeah, so go out there. I mean, they're very entertaining. Cody does a great job. So thanks for coming on, Cody. Really appreciate you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
All right.